With misinformation spreading rapidly and voter turnout declining in recent elections, Nigerian electoral authorities are moving early to change the narrative. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the National Orientation Agency (NOA) have unveiled an ambitious nationwide campaign designed to educate voters, rebuild trust in the electoral process, and encourage greater participation ahead of the 2027 general elections. Speaking during a courtesy visit by the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Malam Lanre Issa Onelu, to the INEC headquarters in Abuja on Wednesday, the chairman of INEC, Professor George Amupitan, said the partnership comes at a critical time when voter education has become just as important as electoral technology in safeguarding Nigerians' democracy. According to him, the Commission has made significant investments in innovations such as the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System (BVAS) and the INEC Result Viewing Portal (IREV), which have strengthened the credibility and transparency of elections. However, he warned that those gains would amount to little if eligible Nigerians continue to stay away from the polls or fall victims to misinformations.
Also, the fact that by Section 3 of the Electoral Act 2026, that is also one of our major and key functions and responsibility as INEC. So when you were coming this morning, I thought we were going to sit down with you and look at your budget line and see how much of resources we can gather from you so that we can further strengthen our education, voters' education, voters and civil education. But my interaction with you in the office, you had indicated that you actually had 0 votes. Because as much as you try to seek appropriation on voters' education, they keep pushing that go and meet INEC, which is not correct. However, we have to work together. So therefore, it is a distinct pleasure to welcome you, our DG from the NOA, and your dynamic team to the headquarters of INEC. The public service will receive many first visits. Many are strictly formal, marked by rigid protocols and predictable pleasantries. But today's visit feels entirely different. To me, this is not a routine visit, it is a vital meeting of minds and a reunion of two institutions, constitutionally saddled with the responsibility of educating Nigerians of democratic culture. When we look at the landscape of our nation today as we prepare for the 2027 general elections, it becomes immediately clear that INEC cannot build a robust democracy in isolation. We can purchase the model voters accreditation system, BVAS machines. We can optimize the INEC result viewing portal IREF to international standards. And we can map out the most logistical routes for material deployment. But all of these technological and administrative triumphs mean nothing if citizens remain detached, uniform, cynical, or completely uneducated about the power of their votes. Some time ago, when I was in the university, we spent so much resources in the ICT infrastructure and development. And when it was time to use it, we discovered that we neglected an important aspect of training. So that was many years ago. And I coordinated that program. It was a partnership between the university and Carnegie Corporation of the US. So we bought computers and brought internet to colleagues' offices and also some important softwares that we use for advanced learning and research. And when it was time to activate, to use, we discovered that some of our colleagues could not even boot the computer. So you can invest everything you have, but if you don't do the basic to remove ignorance and add value to knowledge, it's going to be a complete waste. So we had to reverse and started. I thought you could just know how to put on the button to on your system. Some people they don't even know it. So we assume a lot sometimes. So this is where the National Orientation Agency comes in. The agency is without doubt Nigeria's premier organization for civic orientation. While INEC is the umpire that sets up the field and manages the game, the National Orientation Agency is the custodian of the values that makes players and spectators respect the rules.
Malam Larry Issa Onilu, DG NOA, says civic education is key to building trust and strengthening Nigerians' democracy. However, voter education should not happen only during election periods. It must become a continuous national exercise, he said.
We saw huge gap in knowledge, and we saw a lot of productive, otherwise what should have been productive time committed to issues that should never be discussed because there was not so much knowledge, about the electoral process. And that was, we found that very dangerous for us as a country. In a country where 35 years and below constitute 76% of our population, and then there's such huge gap in democratic, knowledge. So we were worried, but we knew there was no way we would be able to do that job alone without the support of INEC, because we have the core responsibility to, deliver democracy, in this country. I would recall I was discussing with the chairman in the office, and I recall the number of days, hours, minutes wasted on deciding that even if you had won the 36 states without the FCT, then you won't be declared. And people took that as something to waste time on, and it was discussed in a way that suggested that we've never educated anybody on this issue of democracy. So that suggested to us that we had a lot to do. But as I've noted, we've begun to see the difference, especially when INEC is able to deliver almost faultless. There's nowhere in the world that there won't be, because once human beings are involved, there will be issues. If not from INEC, there will be issues from because we in NOA we say that our democracy lives on five fingers. INEC is the top, because without the top you can't do almost anything. So, and then the remaining fingers you have the political parties. Then you have the voters themselves of the third finger. Then you have the media and the civil society as the fourth finger. And the fifth finger is our security architecture. These five have responsibility, towards ensuring that we are free, fair, credible elections.
Follow, like, share at Media 360 Impact for credible, people-centered reporting.